What do you think is the most important trait to instill in a child?
A sense of self-responsibility. And the reason for that is because ultimately we're preparing children to be on their own. And to really operate on your own is to be responsible for your own thoughts, feelings, confidence, self-esteem, what you achieve.
Have you ever looked at your child and wondered if they're carrying more than they're saying? Maybe they're quieter since everything changed. Maybe they're trying to be brave for you. And deep down you wonder, am I giving them what they really need? We spend so much energy protecting our children from pain, but what if the greatest gift isn't protecting them? What if it's teaching them how to face life with confidence long after we are no longer beside them?
Welcome to Single Parent Success Stories, a podcast designed to inspire single parents. Here you'll find resources from self-care to finances to parenting and everything in between. Discover what it takes to thrive. Let the stories inspire you to what is possible.
Renaye, welcome to Single Parent Success Stories. You are the founder of Adventures in Wisdom and have been on a global mission to bring life coaching to children, helping them develop confidence, resilience, and powerful mindset skills that shape their future. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me, Irina. I'm thrilled to be here.
Thank you. So before we begin, if there were 3 words that you want someone to describe you, what would they be?
To describe me?
Yes.
Passionate, empowering, and committed.
Cool. Passionate, empowered, and committed. I love those. And how do those words kind of support your mission or the message that you want to share?
Well, the work that I do is all about empowering children and empowering our coaches to be successful with children and ultimately empowering parents being successful with their children as well. It's when I discovered the world of personal development right out of college, I just remember thinking, why didn't I learn this when I was a kid? And I was just so passionate about personal development work because it was like discovering the answer, is magic. And so I became an expert in personal development work for several decades. I was working on that and applying what I was learning to create a very successful corporate career, relationships. And when I had my own children, that's when I had this idea that I really want my kids to learn this way of thinking. Now, my kids are almost 24. And back then, there wasn't anything out there on mindset development. And that's when I started working on developing something for my own children. And from there, the vision just grew. And I retired from my corporate job to create this company because my vision grew to help other children as well. And that's where the commitment comes in. I've been doing this since started the company in 2011, certifying coaches since 2013. So it's been an evolution. And there have been many bumps in the road, and it takes commitment to move through that and to stay focused on the mission and fulfilling that mission and bringing this work to the world. And I'm just so honored we have so many fabulous coaches out there that are helping bring this work to children as well.
I love it. Beautiful and such an important work, starting children off with the right tools so they don't have to work on it later in life.
Yeah. Well, I think it's always a work in progress. I'm always still working on it too, but we're giving them a foundation because if you think about it, the core beliefs that shape who we are and what we think is possible for our lives are formed when we're really young. So why not reach kids when they're young to help them not only learn how to identify and shift limiting beliefs, but to actually proactively create those supporting beliefs and habits that are going to support them in being more proactive and empowered in their lives. I mean, it is so powerful because kids don't have the decades of beliefs and ingrained neural pathways and ways of thinking that we have as adults and having to undo a lot of that. They are kind of a blank slate that enables them to start from a more empowered point of view. It's really interesting. We've been doing this long enough that some of our coaches have raised their children on Adventures in Wisdom, and me as well. And their children, when they get to be like 18, 19 years old, we've had a couple of them say like, I didn't know it wasn't normal to think this way, to think an empowered way, to think proactively, to think as a self-leader. Now, not saying that we're perfect. None of us are perfect, but it gives them this tool set to really be proactive in their own confidence and self-leadership and going for their goals so they can achieve and reach their fullest potential.
Totally. I love it. Thank you. Many single parents worry about how life changes like divorce or separation impact their children's confidence and emotional well-being. What mindset skills do you believe are the most important for kids to develop during these transitions?
Yeah, it's such a difficult transition for children, and having that support in how they choose to navigate these kinds of situations is so important, because a lot of times the parents are so traumatized themselves by what they're going through that it's hard for them to be able to be there emotionally and supportively too for their child. And they may try, but a lot of times they don't have the skills themselves to be able to support kids. So what our coaches will focus on a lot, when we have a lot of coaches that support children who are going through these types of major transitions, but it's around managing change, managing their thinking around, what's happening. Their self-talk is so important because that really supports both self-esteem and their confidence. And then self-leadership skills as well, really supporting them and learning how to be self-responsible around things like homework and responsibilities around the house, because this can help them feel more empowered when everything else around them is feeling shaky. And, we teach over 27 mindset skills. So it really is a process. We want to teach them first the brain science behind mindset skills and why these skills are so empowering. And then we will work with them on what they're really wanting to support first. Managing fear is another big one as well.
Yeah, so important during transitions, like you said, to have those empowering beliefs and handle it and not kind of make a blame of this because of me or something like that.
Right. And for the adults as well, and it can kind of bring this shared language into the family to be able to navigate these very difficult situations as they're recreating what their life is going to look like in a new family structure.
Can you give us an example of one mindset skill or tool?
Oh my gosh. Yes, there's so many. So yeah, I mean, one family was having one of the children, she was really struggling with being respectful at home and, sometimes with friends and even in the classroom. And so the coach was working with her on respect. And so what we teach is that every time you're with someone, you leave a mark, either a gold heart or a grungy mark based on how you treat them. And so the practice, first, we learn the skill through a coaching story. We have conversations, discussion questions, engaging activities. So it's really an experiential process, helping children develop these skills. And then one of the assignments for the week was her name was Julie, for her to practice giving gold hearts in her life. And Julie actually brought this activity home to her whole family. And so the whole family practiced giving gold hearts. And so it was transformational and really created a loving and respectful and supportive environment within the whole family. And within a week, it really was amazing and just a very simple concept. That's just one example.
I love it. So they get a golden heart if they did
Yeah, it's just, wake up every day. How can I give away 10 gold hearts today? And a gold heart can be being respectful, saying something nice to someone, or an act of kindness, using your manners. There's, we share with the children, and the children get to brainstorm ways to give gold hearts. So it enables them to really take ownership of what they want to create. It works with grown-ups.
Awesome.
Really good.
You use storytelling as a way to teach personal development to children. Why is storytelling such a powerful tool for helping kids understand resilience, self-belief, and emotional intelligence?
Storytelling is the key to bringing life coaching and personal development with children. Multiple reasons, but the number one is proven brain science. Because when we hear facts, Irina, the part of our brain that's most stimulated is the brain that turns words into meanings, the intellectual region of our brain. But when we hear story, not only is that intellectual region of our brain engaged, but so are the emotional regions of our brain, as you imagine feeling what the characters are feeling, and the sensory regions of the brain experiencing what the characters are feeling. And so because more of our brain is activated, it's going to create stronger memories around both the story and the lessons from the story. So it's not just for kids, it's for us grown-ups too. The story is so, so powerful and engaging us in so many different levels. It's also such a wonderful, non-threatening way to help kids learn how to navigate life. Most kids don't like to talk about feeling nervous or afraid, but they love to talk about grungies and dragons. And these are terms from our curriculum to give kids a safe way to talk about what they're feeling and with their thinking. And then the other thing with children is sometimes when you're bringing up these types of skills, the child might feel kind of put on the spot or like they're being judged or that it's all about them, that they're trying to be fixed. And that's not what it is at all. So through the story, it enables this child to see how this mindset skill or the skill that we're teaching is used to solve common challenges that a child might face. And then how they can use the skill to solve that problem at hand. So it gives them an external way, an emotionally safe way of learning about the skill. And then under a coach's guidance through discussion questions, experiential activities, it really supports children in applying that skill to their own lives. And of course, stories are great for review. It's a really engaging process to work with kids, and it's a lot of fun as well.
I love it. Yeah. And you're right. When kids are little, we read stories to them to go to sleep, so they can develop active imagination and have a positive mindset how they go to sleep. So I love that. And you're so right. When we create storytelling, we make it, we come alive ourselves, and the children can come alive as well because they can pretend like in characters, exchange and dialogues. And it's, I guess, easier to share how you are feeling when it's through a story, when it's through another character, as opposed to saying, I am nervous or I am afraid, and
Exactly.
transferring it. So
Yes.
love that. Parents often want to support their children emotionally, but don't always know what to say in difficult
Right.
moments. What are
Right.
some simple ways parents can help their kids build confidence and self-leadership at home?
Yeah, that really is the key component of it. As parents, we want the very best for our kids. We want them to feel confident and have self-esteem and to be self-leaders. But how in the world do we help them get that? Because we can't give it to them no matter how much we love them. But they are skills that can be developed. And for some parents, they're very effective at supporting a child. And sometimes the child will listen to another grown-up better than their parents. But we always start, when we're working with children, one of the most powerful skills we can use with kids is teaching them about the power of self-talk. Because self-talk shapes our confidence, our self-esteem, what we believe is possible for ourselves as well. And so what you can teach, what parents can teach their kids is that, and we actually give this story away for free on our website. If anybody wants to actually have this skill and teach it to the kids in their lives, it's about self-talk. But we teach kids that every moment of every day, we're saying something to ourselves through our thoughts and through our words. And these messages are building us up or they're tearing us down. But the good news is we get to choose what we say to ourselves. And so what we teach children is how to recognize and shift the negative self-talk, how to proactively build positive self-talk so that it becomes more of their habit and their normal way of thinking. It's so powerful, and it's such a great way to introduce these types of skills to children.
Beautiful. I love it. Yes. We'll include in episode notes where listeners can get that amazing tool. Looking back at your own journey as a mom of twins and now seeing them as adults, what parenting lesson stands out most about raising children who grow into confident and capable young adults?
Yeah, that's such a neat question. My kids I've got twins, they're 24 years old. So both are out of the house, starting careers, all that kind of stuff. What's been so important along the journey, this is something that we teach in the decision-making module, is that it's important, I think, for parents, for us to realize, when our kids are infants, we're going to make 100% of the decisions for them. When they're getting ready to, towards high school, getting ready to graduate, they need to be making close to 100% of decisions on their own with your guidance as a parent. So I think as a parent, it's really important for us to give our children as many opportunities as possible to make decisions, to think about what they want for themselves. Of course, under your guidance as a parent and consultation. And even now, my kids will reach out to me for advice. And sometimes I reach out to them, which is amazing about having adult kids. But it really is to not jump in and do it for them. And it's okay for your kids to have wounds, for them to have disappointments, because they need to learn how to navigate those. And they need to learn that that's just part of life. And that we don't have to fix everything for them, that sometimes they just have to think, okay, this horrible thing happened. I can choose how to think about it in a way that's going to support me. I can learn from it. If I made a mistake, I could either apologize or try to fix it or put something in place to where that won't happen again. So I think that a lot of those types of lessons are really important because we're ultimately are preparing our children to be adults and to be out there and have their own lives.
Yes, you're so right. And I guess letting them fail or young is better when they're much older because they can, like you said, create those necessary skills at a younger age. So
Yeah, I mean, just a super
bigger problems would not cause
Yeah.
such a breakdown.
Yeah, well, super simple example. I mean, like we wouldn't wake up our kids in the morning to get ready for school when that once they hit like middle school. They had to learn how to use an alarm clock. And I can't tell you, my daughter didn't have any issues. I can't tell you how many times my son was grabbing a protein bar, putting on a ball cap. I hope he brushed his teeth and running for the bus because we wouldn't take him to school. Actually, we had an agreement. For them to go to school, they'd have to pay us, I think, like $20 or something. Never wound up doing that. He always made it. But they needed to learn because when they're in college, I'm not going to be there to wake them up. So they have to be responsible for themselves. And that's just one simple example. That being said, there's a second side to this, and that is that sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes we need support from the people who love us. So it was extremely rare, but there was like once or twice when one of my kids would forget a key homework assignment or something like that. Because it wasn't a habit, very rarely happened, I would take it up to them. Just like if I forgot something and needed it, my husband would bring it to me. So, it's not like they have to be 100% on their own. They need to know that family's there to support them as well. There's a balance there. But to really notice that if a kind of bad habits being formed, let them own that and take responsibility. So it's not something they're dealing with later.
Totally, yes. What's your opinion on, how you call it, what time kids should do their homework? And do you enforce, I know your kids are already grown, but when they were growing up, do you enforce the time or do you let them make that decision to kind of,
Yeah.
what do you think?
That's a great question because all of us are a little bit different. And depending on what we're doing in school and whether you're, elementary, middle, high school, et cetera, we work in different ways. So most of the time, my kids they would need some kind of break, just like I do, and I did too when I was younger. So I would let them come up with a routine that would work for them. Homework in our house wasn't a problem. And I think there are a couple of reasons for that. One is we framed why homework is so important. It was an opportunity for them to learn to build neural pathways, which are their, patterns in their brain about what they were learning so that they could apply this learning to their own lives. So they saw the benefit of learning. And they knew that we also went through the consequences of getting bad grades. What would that look like? And show them what the average would look like. So they would know that in one missed assignment, getting a 0 would really, really hurt them. So it's through education and then also empowerment for them to make their own choices. I think it's so important for kids to make their own choices about when they want to do their homework, etc. Because then they're more likely to take ownership of actually getting it done.
Totally. And what's your opinion on involving kids in all sorts of making them busy, involving them in all sorts of sporting activities and other activities?
Yeah.
What do you think? What's your take on this?
It all depends on what kids are interested in. If children have a lot of interests, they want to try a lot of different things. I think there's nothing wrong with that. If that's something you really want to do, I think it becomes a problem if the parent is the one who's interested and is driving the child to try a whole lot of different things. I think it is important for kids to be involved in something, at least one something. Outside of school, it gives them an additional sense of belonging and community that is outside of the school system, whether it's like scouts or a sport they're enjoying or music or art. So I think that's important, but childhood is such a great time for them to explore these different interests as well. But I think it needs to be mostly child-led. And I will say, I think these things right here, you got to be real careful with them. I know that even in our own family, when they were growing up, it was interesting because when my children's peers were getting phones before they did, they started getting left out of things, like not being invited to things because they weren't part of the group chat or whatever. So it's like this real balance. And you also need it as a communication tool sometimes for when you want to pick up your child from school or if they need to stay late for something. So it's a real balance. But what's really the problem with these things is social media. And that's something I hope you've had some social media experts on here because that is one of the biggest influences and negative influences on children's self-esteem and happiness. And there's a book called The Anxious Generation that talks all about phones, social media, and the impact on children. That's something, if you have young children, I strongly recommend, even if you don't get the book because it's kind of big, you'll go online, get a summary of the book so you can see some of the key facts. It's one of the reasons why a lot of schools are starting to exclude phones in the classroom, is because of the negative impact that it's having on children's mental health.
Totally, yeah. I did read that book, and our school actually had an event to talk about it.
Great.
You're so right. So until, Heikolt, when did you got your kids? How long did you stand out before you gave your kids the phone?
So
What was the age?
I can't remember the age. I'm trying to remember. I think it was middle school. I can't remember exactly, but it was not long after that where they were really being excluded from and missing some events. And what we did was we gave them our old phones. So we would get new phones and they would get the old ones. Same thing with computers. When they got computers, we would give them our older ones. But they didn't care. They had their computer, they had their phone, and they were so excited. But yeah, I can't remember the exact age. And even back then, social media wasn't nearly as strong as it is now. There was around for sure, but now it's become even more of a critical problem. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Speaking of kids, what do you think is the most important trait to instill in a child?
A sense of self-responsibility. And the reason for that is because ultimately we're preparing children to be on their own. And to really operate on your own is to be responsible for your own thoughts, feelings, confidence, self-esteem, what you achieve. It all comes down to that and how you make decisions. And we ground them with love and support and that in the environment. And then using that as a basis, we start building skills on top of that. And I think that when children can learn and take ownership of their lives, it just moves so much smoother, and their transition so much smoother as well. Because ultimately, especially whether they go off to college or they go to work for someone, move outside the home or whatever, they're on their own. They're making their own decisions.
Oh, totally. Yeah, you're so right. We are raising future humans. We are raising adults and giving them that sense of responsibility. And so if something happens in life, they're not going to say, oh, you did it, or that person did it. Because in the end of the day, we are all responsible for our choices and the life that we are creating.
Yeah. And doesn't mean you have to cut them off. You always be there as an advisor, as a consultant. And sometimes kids need an additional boost, all of us do. And there's nothing wrong with providing a little extra support, whatever that might look like for you or whatever you might be comfortable with. But the more we can move them towards being self-sufficient, self-responsible, the happier they're going to be as well. And they're going to feel more accomplished in navigating the world.
If this conversation is making you think about the lessons we give our children and the ones we are still learning ourselves, I want to briefly share my book, The Gift Inside. It's a reminder that even through difficult seasons, there can be something within us waiting to be discovered. You can find The Gift Inside through the link in the show notes.
Totally. And you've written, Heikolt, your own book, kind of condensing the methodology. What prompted you to write the book?
Are you talking about our parents' guide, that book?
Yes.
Yeah. So where's the book right here? Okay, yeah. So it's a parent's guide to life coaching for kids, when to add a coach to your parenting team. So it's just to help parents understand that what life coaching for kids is all about, how it can support children, how it's different from counseling and therapy, how it actually supports parenting, and then how coaches work with the child. So it really is, I designed it to be a super quick read because I know parents are busy, and there are lots of case studies in there as well, just to help parents really see that they don't have to do this alone. And especially for single parents where they've already got so much on them and so much responsibility as a single parent, sometimes we all need support. Having a coach support you in supporting your child's mindset and helping them around their confidence, their self-esteem, their self-responsibility, achieving goals, it can really support the whole family structure.
Where can people get the guide?
Oh, the guide's on Amazon, and it's only not even $5. So we priced it to be really inexpensive so that people can learn about life coaching for kids. Or if you want to just learn the basics for free on our website, adventuresandwisdom.com, up at the top is a tab that says for parents, and it's got a lot of the key stuff in here. We have a a checklist on when to think about adding a coach to your parenting team so that parents can say, oh yeah, this could really support my family. And it's just like, parents might hire a tutor to support their child in academic success, or a sports coach to support their child in their sport. A life coach for kids, mindset skills training, is all about supporting our children and developing a healthy mindset that's going to support them in all areas of life: academics, extracurriculars, relationships at home with peers, and just being those self-leaders that ultimately want our children to be.
Totally. I love it.
Yeah, and that checklist,
How does
it's for download for free on the website.
Awesome. How does coaching look like? Is it like a monthly? How many sessions would you say does a child need? Or it depends on the child and where they are?
Well, we have a whole intake process with parents, and a lot of times the child's involved as well, to see what they want to focus on. A lot of times it's around confidence and self-esteem in the beginning, and then they add skills. Most of our coaches will start with a coaching package. It might have 6 or 8 what we call skill books or sessions that might work or focus on a certain topic like self-esteem or confidence. Usually a coach will meet weekly with a child, and each session is designed to teach a specific skill. And the way our coaching process works, we call it the story coaching process, is that we use the coaching stories, which is the foundation of our work, discussion questions, activities, as well as engagement with both the child and the parent to support them in continuing the learning between sessions as well. So usually, they'll start out 6, 7, 8 sessions because we're working with children's beliefs, and it takes more than 1 or 2 sessions to shift a belief. And so we're helping them develop these skills and practice these skills as well. And some children will go through the whole journey, all 27 skills. Others will start with one area, maybe take a break for a little bit, come back, maybe work on building resilience next. I mean, there's flexibility there. And our coaches structure their services, so it really depends on how a coach wants to focus on it. And also with our coaches, like, we're all about mindset skills, life skills for kids, but we also have coaches that specialize in different areas. So, for example, if a child also has been diagnosed with ADHD, or maybe they have autism, or maybe learning differences, we have coaches that specialize in these areas, and they use our work to help supplement what they're doing with children. So, even though our coaches aren't all trained in that, we have experts that have various expertise, and they can bring that to the parents as well. That's one of the things I love about our community, because we have so many different areas of expertise in our community. It's just beautiful.
And what age children do you recommend starting?
Yeah. When I first wrote this curriculum, Irina, I was really targeting children in elementary, early middle school. So about ages 6 through 12, 13-ish, 14. I wanted to reach kids while they're young, while they were first experiencing social issues, whether it's at school or extracurricular activities, or even relationships at home and responsibilities like homework for the first time. So I wanted to support them in developing these skills at a young age so they could use them in middle school, high school, and as they get older. So it was written really for about 6 through 12, 13-ish or so. The stories themselves, the curriculum's at about a grade 4 level. But one of the things that surprised me over the years is how many of my coaches use our work with teens, and sometimes even their adult clients. And the whole reason is the power of storytelling and the brain science behind it, because we all respond and learn from stories. That being said, our coaches, when they're working with a team, they'll modify the examples in the story. They'll change the discussion questions to be more relevant to what's going on in a teen's life. It really is. It's been neat to watch what my coaches are doing. So one of our team members, she's our senior director of coach success. She's actually working with a 60-year-old woman, using our curriculum and supporting her as she's doing a transition in her life as well. And she also did a workshop at the battered women's shelter, domestic violence shelter, to support those women in building the skill of self-talk that I talked about earlier. So it's really amazing. It's just the power of story that helps provide this emotionally safe space for people to learn these skills and then start applying them to their own lives.
Oh, I love it. So beautiful. So applicable to all age ranges, as long as they're willing to learn.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's been a pleasure to have you. Is there anything I haven't asked that you would like to share?
Just one thing I would love to share with anyone who might be watching or listening is just to understand the difference between coaching versus counseling and therapy, because that's not something that all parents understand. Because sometimes as parents, we might see our child struggling a little bit, whether it's confidence or self-esteem, and realize, well, counseling's not really needed here, but who can help? And that really is where a coach can fit in. So if you look at mental health on a continuum, where we have mental wellness on one end, we have mental illness on the other end, counselors and therapists are going to be able to support children across the entire continuums. But they tend to really focus on working with children who are struggling with more serious issues, more in a clinical type setting. Life coaching is non-clinical and it's skills-based. So it really is training and coaching and supporting children who, for the most part, are mentally healthy and supporting them in developing skills for mental wellness and mental fitness. So it's a proactive approach to supporting kids. It's important to help parents see where it fits in on the mental health journey for our children, and it's a very proactive way to support our kids as well.
I love it. Thank you. If people would like to connect and learn more about you and the important work that you're doing, where would they go?
I would invite you to go to our website. It's just adventuresinwisdom.com. There you can get the free coaching story. We have resources there for parents so you can understand what coaching is, see the free checklist, see if it's something that might fit for what you're looking for your family. See lots of success stories and how coaching has supported children along the way. If you're interested in possibly becoming a coach, we have a section there called Become a Coach. It's going to have you all the information there for you as well as extensive FAQs. So just a great opportunity just to explore what we're all about. And if it looks like something that would inspire and support your family, we welcome you to reach out to us.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you. Thank you for the important work you're doing in raising future generations with the right tools on set.
Thanks for having me, Irina. Appreciate you.
Thank you for joining us today. If this conversation encouraged you, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another parent who needs hope. Remember, we may not control every challenge our children face, but we can help shape the mindset they'll carry through every one of them.